Hello and welcome to Tricks of the S-Trade channel. Today is the 1st of June 2017, and in today's video we have Samantha Stosur. I hope I'm not butchering up the name. She happens to be, we'll just call it a she for now, but by the time we get done you'll actually see it's a he. She happens to be some of the, I think she's ranked amongst the top 40 female tennis players in the WTA tour and rankings. You can go look her up. You've probably seen her a lot on so many other tennis tournaments, which she's played with people like maybe Serena Williams, which is also a dude. And I have a lot of stacked information on Serena Williams for now. I'm just gonna let him continue lying and deceiving the public because the time is not right to start the series like how we have on Beyonce to actually show you, because we're gonna be following these two dudes until they actually give birth to their supposed fake babies, because the dudes they can't get pregnant. So Samantha Stosur is also one of the dudes that we're going to prove to you that's actually a dude on this particular show. So if it's your first time on the channel, I'd like to welcome you. But before we go any further, I would say that you have to pause the video. It's your first time and you've never watched the primer video. You have to watch the primer video. So pause the video right here and go look for the primer video on this channel. Because if you do not watch the primer video, a lot of the stuff that I'm saying to you is not going to make any sense. You're going to be making comments or asking questions that are way off. And then we also have a rule on our channel. The rule's been set into place because we have a lot of agents and deluded people watching the videos, and they can't make any sense. And like I've said before, deluded people are people which you present facts to them, which those facts actually show to them that what they've believed and held so long to be true is actually a lie, but they still choose to hold on to the lie. That's a delusion. All right. So before I go any further, like I usually say, we have certain rules on our channels which has been put into place. If you're gonna make comments about someone, you're gonna label someone and say the person is a transgender. You're not gonna say XBAY is a transgender. You have to show facts on why you call the person a transgender, and those facts have to be solid facts. Those facts do not have to start with fingers and jaw lines, because fingers and jaw lines are subjective. They're not definitive, all right, of a male or female. What differentiates between a male and female is that one person, the female, is designed to bear children. So her whole skeletal structure is designed for that fact. She has the tilted pelvis, which is tilted forward. She has an arch in her back, all right? Her hips are below her crotch, so they don't interfere with childbirth. That is what you have to talk about, stuff that's related to those differences in childbirth between male and female. If it does not include those facts when you're labeling someone a transgender, we're going to delete the comment, we're going to remove it, or we're going to block it, because we want to keep some dignity. This channel is different from all other channels. You just can't be making weird and crazy comments. Your comments have to be like people who are reasoning and thinking, all right? Because we want people to learn. Our channel it's dedicated to making people learn. Because even though we feature a lot of transgenders on our channel, you have to understand this fact. The channel is not about transgenders. It's about making you understand and connecting the dots in your world. So what am I saying? So the best way I can explain it is, for example, let's say that you're a manager of let's say a very big company, all right? And your company only signs checks with a green pen, because we know green pen, you can find a lot of green pens in public stores. You have to probably specially order for it. I'm just giving an example right there. So let's say, for example, on this particular day, you're supposed to sign a very big contract, a contract that's going to keep your company afloat. So let's say you woke up late. Because you woke up late, right? You dressed up and you forgot the green pen. All right? and you went to work. At the time of signing the contract, you can't find a green pen. And so because there's no green pen in your company at that point in time, the people who are supposed to sign the contract with have waited for 30 minutes and 1 hour, and they wanted to wrap up the contract real quick. And because of that, they have to postpone the contract because there's no green pen found that you can sign with. So now, because you lost the contract, all right, the signing of that contract, you now having a bad day at work. Because you're having a bad day at work, you forgot to pick up your child from school. And by the time you remember to pick up your child from school, you find out that he's been waiting for 4 or 5 hours and somebody else picked him up. And you don't know who the person is. And the child hasn't been home. And so you now go running around looking for your kid. You're contacting the police. At the end of the day, your child comes back home, for example. So that's what the train of events, that's why we try to connect the dots to show you that everything around you is not just happening by coincidence. There is a reason for it. So like the example I just made, you see how from a pen, right, connected all the way down to the office to you actually forgetting to pick up your child and somebody else picking them up and supposing you never know who the person who did, all because you forgot a pen. That's what our channel is dedicated to make you understand your world. So even though we feature a lot of transgenders, I don't want people to be over exactly enamored by transgenders. Because I have people labeling comments, so you got this wrong, you got this right, you got this wrong, you got this right. I don't agree with you. I don't know. I don't. You're not making any sense. I don't have to make sense on the transgenders at all. What I'm trying to show you is that these things are real. I'm trying to show you how all the dots connect, because the transgenders are the fruits of the tree. So let's say, for example, you go, all right, are you looking at a tree? You don't understand what kind of tree it is because you can't see the fruits, all right? It's only when the fruits blossom, that's when you can know, oh, it's an apple tree, it's an orange tree, or whatever tree that it might be. So the transgenders are the fruits, all right? The problem is in the roots. That's why we're seeing it. So the roots, like I've always said, is the Vatican. That's what you should be more enamored with. That's what you should be doing your whole investigations about, not the transgenders. It doesn't matter if it's right or wrong. I'm not saying I'm wrong on the facts that I'm showing you. I'm just saying it doesn't matter. What matters is the root of the problem, which is the Vatican. All right? So if it's your first time on our channel, as I usually say before I get off into the subject fully, that we are not against transgenders. We have no such hate or dislike for transgenders or people who are living in any alternative lifestyle that they want. We have no authority to judge these people. Because like I've always said, if you have to judge someone, you have to have authority over the person before you can judge them. And when you're judging someone, you have to make sure that you are not, right, doing the things that you're accusing the person of. So if you're a thief, you can't sit down and judge somebody else that's a thief. That's wrong. And you have to have authority to judge someone. So for example, when you get into a law court, the judge judges you because he's been given authority over you to judge you. We have no such authority over transgenders, right? We have none of it. And God has given to everyone the right to live your life any type of way. And we're mere mortals. We can't. If God has given you the right, who am I and who are we to say that you can't live your life the way you want it? That's totally up to you. We have no problems on that. All what like I'm saying is we're trying to connect the dots to show you the power structure. That things that are happening around you are not happening by coincidence. There's a reason for everything. So that you should be aware and keep your brain sharp and see with your brain while looking with your eyes. Okay? That is just that. So like I've always said, we are not against transgenders. All right? If someone wakes up in the morning, as long as you're an adult and you say you want to live in a a sex that's different from the sex and gender that you're born with, that's fine, right? All what we're trying to say is that there's an organized system put in place by the Vatican, who owns and runs the world, all right? And they're taking young children, manufacturing children, as the case may be, taking these children, all right, castrating or mutilating them, forcing them to live in a sex and gender that's not the sex and gender that we're born with, by no consent, which is slavery. All right, that is what we're trying to expose, and how all the dots connect, that you can actually see these transgenders in the public eye this much. That's all what we're trying to show you. Okay, so that's why you have to watch the primer video if you've never watched it. And then you can also download and read study a document. So for example, you can come up to a page right here on one of the video pages, and you scroll down, you're going to see a link right there. If you click on that link, if you follow my mouse, it will take you to this document here, which is the male versus female visual differences. It will show you the difference between, you know, males and females. You can keep the document handy, and you can go look at, you know, look at the people around you and see if what we are saying is actually true from a document. Because a document is not just based on assumptions, it's based on things that you can identify with. All right, things you can identify with. If you have a wife, a girlfriend, you know, or somebody who wants to strip nude, so you can actually stand and look and see if a document is right, then go ahead and do it. It's not fake science. It's not based on science that you know people tell you. For example, like in chemistry class, that two hydrogen molecules plus one oxygen molecule, I don't remember my chemistry right now, turns into water. And you go into the chemistry class and you're trying to find two molecules of hydrogen and one molecule of oxygen, and you can never actually measure it right. You don't know which one's which. Does it make sense? So this is stuff that you can actually see in everyday life with everyday people, not absurd, you know, stuff that people just tell you stuff without showing you any facts. Before we label someone a transgender or not on this channel, we have to show you with facts. You can do your own investigations as well. Don't just take off the words that we say. Go do your own investigation. All right. And so with that said, I wanted to talk about something that's that's come to my mind, and I think I should mention the fact that history is very important. Why is history important? Let me give you an example. Let's say that up till today, you had $1 million, right? You had $1 million in your account, and someone wiped your memory up till yesterday. How would you know you had $1 million? You wouldn't. So history is very important. So let's start. What am I saying that? Because the Vatican is so much interested in history, because it knows without history, you don't know who you are. You don't know where you came from. You don't know where you're going. Because let's say, for example, that let's say, because none of us has ever lived to see, let's say, hypothetically, our great grandfather. That means I'm talking about forefathers down a generation. None of us has lived to see that. So let's say, for example, that great grandfather wrote a little bit of history about himself, everything that he needed to know. All right. And let's say 4 generations before that, he also had his great grandfather's history, and all that was written down. And you now, let's say the 8th generation ahead, you would know who you really are. So it's very important that we start writing about ourselves, writing about what we know, writing about, so you can leave something for the next generation. If you know how to cook, you should be able to write that down and leave some history behind. Whatever you're good at, what interested you, your own views around the world, put it in writing. Put it in writing and leave it something for the next generation. Because if we keep going on this way, the Vatican is going to be the only one who has the real history of the world hidden under the Vatican vault in St. Peter's Square. The Vatican vault in there. They're twisting and turning the history to suit their purpose, and we're getting lost. Okay? So it's very, very important that we start writing about ourselves, because, for example, if you knew how to make great cakes and you don't put it down, when you die, that knowledge is lost. Nobody else will have a recipe of how great mom or grandmom or anybody used to make great cakes. It's very, very important, because right now, let's say if you're alive today, you probably don't know what your grandfather or grandmother knew, right? That history is lost, is dead in the grave. So that's why the Vatican, can pull strings here and now, and every time that they want to do something, because we don't have real history anymore. So let's take our history very, very seriously. All right? That's just what I wanted to say. So with that said, let's get into Samantha Stosur. All right? And here's a picture of Samantha Stosur right here. As you can see, this is all straight. There is no hip sticking out at the right portion below the crotch if this is male. Now, before I get into that, let me just play the short clip so you can actually know where a female's hip is usually at. All right? Here is the clip right here. I'm going to play that. And as you can see, where's the widest point in that female? See, the widest point right here is below the female crotch. See that? And you're going to see this lady is going to put a tape around it, the female hip, so you can actually know that it's female. And you see how this female is flaring downwards. Okay? Okay, here we go. And see that? The tape goes around the widest point. And where is that widest point on that tape? Below the crotch, because that's where a female's hips at. This is normal. This is international regulations on how you can measure the hips of a female. All right. So we go back to Samantha Stosur here, and before I get into this too, I want to show you something else from a document. This is a document I advise that you should have handy and ready at any point in time. And I want you to take a look. This is a female to my left and a male to my right. A female always has an arch in her back. I don't know how people like, I don't want to mention the name, can actually, do they actually study the document? It's my biggest question, because I always say that the female arch is always going to be shaped like a C, a capital letter C. All right? C in there. If a man tries to arch her back, as I will show you in Samantha Stosur's case here, it's going to turn into an L. Let me see if I can pull the picture real quick. Then from then we'll go on so I can show. I'll just show you later. All right? I'll come back to this. So a female's arch in her back will always be shaped like a C. A man has a straight back. If a man's back wants to arch, he's going to arch outside. He's going to arch like a D, as you can see here, or a P, but he will go straight into the pelvis. So if this man tried to arch his back, because when you're looking at the arch, you have to take notice of the stance, right? The stance of the feet. Is the person forcefully bending the back, right? Is he kneeling? What is he trying to do? You have to look at that, all of that. You have to also know that it's always going to be like a C, all right? If a man try to bend his back and put an arch, it will have harsh lines. It's going to be like an L. The angle will be like an L, maybe like a, let's say, a 60-degree angle L straight into the pelvis. With a female, it's going to be C in there, all right? Let me go further down into the document just to show you what I'm saying. When a female's back is always going to arch like a C. See that? That right in there is a C, all right? If a man tried to arch, it would be straight like an L, okay? When a female's back is always going to bend more. Why does a female's back bend? Because a female's pelvis, one, is tilted forward. so that a baby can stay inside the womb. And also, the arch is extra support so that you can carry the weight of pregnancy. And why are the hips below the crotch? Because it doesn't have to interfere with childbirth. Everything is protected inside the pelvis of a woman, all the reproductive organs. For a man, the hip is above the crotch because the genitals of a man needs to stay outside the body temperature of the body for it to be able to operate optimally. Does it make sense? All right, because without the male genitals, right, being outside of the body, they can't function properly. That's just the way it was designed by God Almighty. We don't know why, but that's what He knew. That's what He knew how to do. All right. So a female, there's always going to be an arch in the back, as you can see right here, arch like a C. Can you see that? Female's always going to have an arch in the back, and the widest point is always going to be, right, widest point in that hips is always going to be above, oh sorry, below the female's crotch. Below the female's crotch, not above, below. Okay, so it doesn't matter if the female has muscles, which I intend to show you by scrolling down this document. It doesn't matter if she's big or small. As you can see right here, can you see that? She has an arch in her back shaped like a C. Small lady, big lady, but still there is an arch. Okay? As I scroll further down just to show you some more, if she has muscles, there's going to be an arch. Still, doesn't matter if she's muscular. Like this female here, muscles, but there's an arch. All right? Okay? So let's get back to Samantha Stosur, which one of the, let's say, top ranked 20 females in the WTA Tour tennis. As you can see, she has a straight back. There is the widest point on this hip right here is above the crotch, not below it. Now, how do I know it's below it? Because when you're trying to draw a line, all right, to see where the crotch is at, you can't just draw it this way. You have to draw it from the widest point on the hip on the right, as the case as you're looking at my screen, to the widest point on the left. So which one is the widest point right here on this female hip? Or sorry, on this hip that you're supposed to look at. This is the widest point. So where do I draw it to? The widest point also on the other side. And where's that widest point? See right there? It's above the crotch, meaning you're looking at a male. As you can see, this female right here, just another example. See that arch in the back here there that I'm talking about is a C. If a man's back is gonna arch, if he's trying to put an arch in the back, because men naturally don't have an arch in the back, he's gonna create sharp angles, and the length of the torso is gonna be way too long further down, and you're gonna see it's gonna go straight into the pelvis like an L. All right. I don't know how I'm gonna explain this furthermore, but let's go further, right, on this particular Samantha Stosur. Now, here is the trick of what I wanted to show you. Tricks of the trade, so you can know the difference between a male trying to put an arch in his back. All right. So as you can see right here, the length of the torso of this man's back goes all the way down. Then all of a sudden it comes out L. There is no deep C in there. There's no C. Can you see what I'm talking about? It goes straight out. It doesn't see in there before it goes into the pelvis. If this was female, this place would arch like a C deep inside, then come out and go into the pelvis. It wouldn't just end so abruptly into a straight line. Stop, then pelvis. Arch, then pelvis for a female. So that's what I'm trying to show you the difference. Okay? I hope I didn't make that, I explained that properly so you could see. Go down further pictures and look at where this man is putting his hands at, his comfort zone. All right, that's why I would put my hands, because this is male. Take a good look at that. That's where his hips at. All right, and the widest point right there is wearing heels. So this is how they trick you. So you have to take into account those kind of things, heels, because if a man or woman wears a heel, it raises your butt up, so it's gonna look like your butt or the hip is higher up towards the crotch. Does it make sense? All right. Some more pictures on Samantha Stosur again. And look at that. a straight torso. Where's the widest point? Right there, above the crotch. Okay? Some other pictures again so you can see. Where's the widest point? Right there, above the crotch. Alright. And where's the comfort zone of this dude again? Look at that. Can you see? If it was female, you know where your hands would be. This is the wrong spot for a woman, for your hands to be. I'm not saying you can't put your hands on there if you're a woman, but your body's not going to be at rest. Alright? It's going to be uncomfortable for you after a while. Alright? So Samantha Stosur is a dude. And look at the muscular nature of that. Can you see that? Massive muscles. Just like mine. Massive muscles. Look, see that? And a straight back. There is no arch in the back. Straight. Straight back. Straight. Straight back. See that? Straight back. There's no tilt in the pelvis. Can you see? Straight pelvis. See that? Straight pelvis. Okay? Some more pictures again. See that thing again? Straight pelvis. Straight L. There's no C in there. There's no C. Straight back into the pelvis. No C in there. Alright? That's okay. So that was the last picture. With that, we come to the end of today's video. As I usually say, subscribe, stay tuned. If you don't like our videos, you don't like our facts, unsubscribe, go home, stop whining and complaining. I mean, you can make your own videos and make your own channel. No one's forcing anybody to be on here. Alright? You came of your own accord. You can leave when you want to. Nobody's forcing you. You don't have to agree with what we say. Alright? So subscribe, stay tuned, and I'll leave you with these words. Look with your eyes, see with your brain. Thanks, and bye-bye.